I don't know what it is. It's just something about the makeup of this group got me excited on the Monday. Tim, Sarah, Clinton, Jackie. The chemistry just jumping off the screen. Today, LeBron in purple and gold. A pink slip for a red bird. And a whole lot of green. Let's go around the horn, shall we?
Yeah. Bleu. Michael Smith in the house.
Look, pas mal, mon ami, pas mal.
Monday.
Wow, Mike.
Do it.
It's Around the Horn,
Look at that,
the
man.
show of competitive banter.
All right, not exactly the best timing for Bryce Harper to be burdened with being the face of the All-Star Game festivities in D.C. this week. He's hitting .214 so far in what could be his final season with the Nationals. 9 for 49 in July. Does have 23 homers. Then there's the ground ball he didn't run out Friday night, leading to a meeting with Dave Martinez. The Nationals just recently had a players-only meeting to discuss a lack of hustle. Anyway, Martinez gave Harper the day off Sunday since he won't get as much of an All-Star break with the Derby tonight and, of course, the game tomorrow. A poor average on an average team with, of course, free agency looming. Clinton Yates, as a D.C. guy and a Nationals fan, what's the level of pressure on Harper these days, the next 2 days in particular?
I think there's a lot of pressure in a certain way because he has to show that he still cares about this team and this city. MLB tweeted out today, baseball world, welcome to Bryce Harper's city. But at the same time, the window on this team is closing. Everybody's going to understand if he wants to move on. However, he didn't really want to be in the home run derby anyway. And so this day off situation is something that gives him, it's a very impossible spot for him to be in. You're forcing him to bat in something that's probably going to mess up his swing when he's not in a good groove anyway. And he's got to be there because it's his home field. It's just not a good situation for him. And I actually kind of feel bad for him considering.
Jackie, how much pressure is on Harper the next couple of days?
Well, I guess Clinton's right. I guess there is some pressure on him. And I think his manager may have put a little more pressure on him. He gave him the day off. He gave him the day off, and he actually said, Michael, to everybody, I'm giving the day off because, he's got all that All-Star stuff he's got to rest up for. What kind of message is that to these fans for a team that's underwhelming this season and for a guy who's got 100 strikeouts and really is scuffling? He's got Dave Kingman numbers is what he's got right now, and that's not going to get it done for the Nationals or for him. I have great sympathy for him, but, playing in the home run derby, that's going to change it. If I were him, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't play it. And I know the fans want to see it, but if the fans really care about Bryce Harper, they'll understand why it would be so bad for him to participate in that particular home run contest. He shouldn't do it.
Tim, he's sat out only one of the first 95 games, so not exactly a guy that takes a lot of days off. So is it one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations? If he sits, then the fans are disappointed. But like Jackie said, you get a day off to rest because you're not getting as much of a break. Fans are disappointed as well.
I just think we're making such an ordeal out of participating in a home run derby one night and then playing maybe 5 or 6 innings in an All-Star game the next night, like he's just got overloaded with this work. How is he going to get through these 4 days where the Nats aren't playing a game? I think the biggest problem for Bryce Harper is just trying to be a happy guy. I mean, I think he got so much love a few years ago for saying that's a clown question, bro. He's decided to have this permanent sour expression on his face, and he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy who wants to do any of this. You think about Aaron Judge in last year's All-Star game and how much he was smiling and enjoying his moment. I would just like to see Bryce Harper enjoy his moment.
Sarah?
Yeah, I think Bryce Harper would like that too. Unfortunately, his team's not playing very well. He's not playing very well. And he's getting called out for not running out that double play. So he gives us exit velocity numbers on how hard he hit the ball that Silver resulted in a double play, which didn't make any sense. This is a guy who's feeling a ton of pressure. And it's about not playing up to his expected standards for himself. It's about his team not playing well enough. And it's obviously about the pressure of figuring out his next move and knowing that he's going to probably disappoint a lot of people. I understand Jackie's point of view. There are guys who've gone to the home run derby and have been a little bit burnt out into the second half of the season because of it. That's not a look you're going for if you're the Nationals and you need him to play well. At the same time, if this is his last year with the Nationals, if they're not playing well, this might be one bright spot for the fans and for him on his way out. And so I understand why he's doing it.
Clinton, let me go back to you here. With free agency looming, you had the anonymous executive say he's not a winning player. You got some people saying it's going to cost him. He may not get the $400 million that we expected. Others are saying it's 1 year. You don't sign a contract based on one difficult season. How much is this year so far and a potential second half going to affect his value in open market at 26
I
years
think
old?
a lot, but here's the thing. For reasons like the home run derby, for reasons like the All-Star game, he's worth $400 million to one team, the Washington Nationals, and that's what matters here. If he's going to want to try to get that kind of big money from a simple star standpoint, this town losing him is a different thing than him going somewhere else and just being another big-name player.
Jackie, last word?
And I would say that's especially true if he goes somewhere else for less money.
Yeah.
And I think that's a realistic scenario, honestly.
I think Chicago's the best place.
What a shock.
Come on down to Texas.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on, shall we? And review the review that turned out to be the turning point of the World Cup final. Said Croatia coach Zlatko Dalic, quote, "I just want to say one sentence about that penalty. You don't give a penalty like that in the World Cup final," close quote. Well, I, Michael Smith, just want to ask our national panel one question about that one sentence about that penalty. Is Dalic right that it was the wrong decision to review and assess a handball penalty in that situation in the World Cup final? Sarah Spain, start us off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call to make in a World Cup game, and that's what the coach said, Croatia's coach said. But I think it's the right call. And I think what he said later was more important. You're not going to win if you give up 4 goals. So trying to claim that the win was taken out of them by a handball penalty that they didn't think should have been called when they're only down 2-1 with plenty of time left, I think is not admitting that France was the better team. And I think in the end, it was not the kind of call that decided the game, and that's all that matters.
Clinton?
Yeah, same. I don't have a huge problem with that. It's a penalty in my book, but I would have completely understood if the referee found that unintentional enough to not call. But the overall issue here is what is actually going on with VAR. This is what it's here for. And if you don't like the application of it in this context, that's a different discussion than this particular call. But you cannot be mad at how they actually managed to get to the system, get to it relatively quickly, and move on with the match in a way that didn't bog down the whole situation.
Jackie?
All of that is true, but let's be real about the fact that I think momentum is one of the most precious commodities in all the sports. And it did change the momentum of this soccer game. Beyond that, I can't have a lot of sympathy because there were 2 soft goals that were given up in this game that Croatia has to take responsibility for going forward. But I do have some sympathy for the coach and those players because you've been in situations, we all have, when something changes a game and it's hard to recreate that mojo. It just is.
Tim?
I agree with the coach only in this sense. He said that's a call you don't make in a World Cup final. It's a call you don't make in a World Cup final up until this year because there was never any replay until this year. And it's the kind of call that if in the course of the game, you may not see it. But if you have time to go look at it, slow it down, it's clearly a penalty. But I agree with everybody that they were, it's hard to say they were probably going to lose. But they were probably going to lose because they did give up some bad goals and France was too good.
Not to mention they had 24 hours less rest and spent 90 more minutes on the pitch than France did. So you add the loss of momentum to that. Clinton, then there's the sense that we didn't get France's best throughout this tournament. Maybe they just didn't need it. But that said, how impressive or how beautiful, if you will, a World Cup champion is France?
To me, they're a good story for reasons that don't really have anything to do with soccer at this point. You've got Didier Deschamps, who played on the 98 squad, who comes back as a coach, becoming the 3rd guy overall to do that with One Nation. You've got the situation with Kylian Mbappe, who becomes an international superstar, whose mother was pregnant with him the last time France won. And you've got Paul Pogba, who sort of comes into his own. He was the young player of the tournament last time they were here. The entire makeup racially and just in general culturally of that team has been a storyline throughout this tournament, and it's been fun enough for me. Forget about what happened on the pitch.
Sarah?
Yeah, I keep quoting the coaches because they're spot on. The French coach, we may not have been the most beautiful champion, but we're still the champion for the next 4 years. And the fact that we're trying to dissect whether or not they looked good enough or were in their top gear is unimportant. They're going to be even better in 4 years, so everybody look out because they won not even at their best.
Tim, last word?
Clinton mentioned Mbappe, the first teenager to score a goal in a World Cup final since Pelé in 1958. And when we get to the next World Cup, Messi and Ronaldo are going to be 35 and 37 years old. This guy could be the next star.
Yeah, maybe France was saving it for 2022. All right, Novak Djokovic's 4th Wimbledon title gives him 13 career majors and leaves him 1 from tying Pete Sampras for 3rd all time. Speaking of time, it didn't take Joker much to take care of Kevin Anderson, 2 hours, 19 minutes. Certainly not much relative to the 5+ hour marathon Djokovic survived in the semis against Rafa Nadal. Meanwhile, on the ladies' side, Angelique Kerber denying Serena Williams number 8 and Wimbledon number 8, and major number 24. But obviously a remarkable run nonetheless for Serena Williams. So Tim, who was the bigger Wimbledon winner, Joker or Queen Serena, even in defeat?
I'm going to lean towards Serena, even though, Djokovic and Kerber are great comeback stories in their own. There was a time when a 31 or a 30-year-old, those were supposed to be at the end of their career until Federer and Serena kind of redefined how long you can play this game. And Serena doing what she did and getting to the final and people questioning whether she should even be the 25 seed going in. and making it to the final two. That's got to be the story for me.
Yeah, she's number 28 in the world now, up 153 spots, Sarah Spain.
Yeah, a big win for Joker, and worth noting, his 12 majors since 2011 are the most of anybody. So there's all these great names that are out there right now, but he's been the guy. Great comeback story. But how do you top Serena? And I'm saying Serena in part because it's a win for us. For any of us who wondered, will she be able to come back after baby? Will she want to? And then when she comes back, will she be the same? Not quite there yet, but for this to happen just months after not only the birth, but the near-death experience that she had, huge winner.
Clinton?
Absolutely. You guys know my bias regarding Serena, but I will also say this. She said very explicitly as well, I'm doing this for the moms, and I tried. It was an incredible message. I also love the fact that when she was asked about whether or not she's the greatest and how she deals with that, getting everybody's best is what makes her better. We're getting such an honest competitor. And for me, that's bigger than a lot of these results. I love that. And I also love the fact that now the rule has changed on what happens with women in the rankings when they come back from pregnancy. That's because of Serena. It's great.
Jackie?
That is great, and that's a really, really important distinction, Clinton. I'm glad. It's too bad it took so long and someone like Serena had to make that change. I think everybody wins in this, including Kerber. What a great comeback. And Djokovic, I didn't know this till I did a little research this morning. Do you realize he owns the winning records against both Federer and Nadal? Did anybody else on the panel know that this morning? Because I certainly did not. So whether or not Djokovic can keep going, at 31, that seems young all of a sudden in the game of tennis, especially because the guys that he's looking up at are both older than him.
All right. Look at that. Locked up in a tight one. There's your horn. Here's your break. Talking about LeBron's $500 shorts when we come back. That's what y'all been waiting to get into, huh?
That's nothing
bought
for
a pair
him.
of those.
I hope they're
True story.
100% silk.
Bullet shorts, though.
They
Want
better
to
have
get
air
into
conditioning.
LeBron's shorts?
Allie's mom knew she had a strong kick even back in the womb. And from then on, Allie was always kicking a ball and saying she was going to play pro soccer. And one day, while she was kicking a ball against a wall, her skills drew even more attention. Her boss said, "Could you please stop that and get me those quarterly numbers I asked for?" Turns out Allie just wasn't that good at soccer. But she was a good accountant. That's why she switched to Geico. She knew they could save her a bunch of money on car insurance. And she sure wasn't ever going to make that pro soccer money. No, sir.
Buy or sell.
All right, we begin buy or sell with the first in-season managerial change by a team with a winning record in a decade. Barely with a winning record in this case. Having lost 10 of 15 and in danger of missing the playoffs for the third straight season, the Cardinals fired Mike Matheny on Saturday. With losing games came talk that Matheny might have been losing the clubhouse. Long been criticized for his in-game strategy or lack thereof. Tim, buy or sell it as the right move for the Cards to fire Matheny right now?
I got to buy the move. You know, he's a guy who loves to talk about the good old days and the toughness of players back then, which is great unless you happen to be a baseball manager managing a team of young players in the modern game. They don't really relate to that. He's also been a pretty terrible manager with his bullpen through the years. However, having said all that, I don't think there's a quick fix for the Cardinals. I don't think they're very good.
Sarah?
Yeah, I don't know if firing him is going to change things for them, but this is a city of St. Louis that has very high expectations. And losing or missing out on the postseason 3 straight years, which they very well might do for the first time in quite some time, is going to be reflected upon someone. Now, there's probably issues higher up as well, and we saw that in that Dexter Fowler fiasco, but Matheny has had issues with Pham and Molina and Fowler, and as Tim mentioned, issues with his bullpen management. He wants this defensive shift to be banned from baseball altogether. We get a lot of hints that he might be past his time of baseball right now.
Clinton?
Yeah, we're talking about a franchise that is craven and sanctimonious with all this Cardinal way stuff. I don't feel bad for them at all regarding getting rid of Mike Matheny. What happened with Dexter Fowler was the GM was on the radio trashing one of his own players in a situation in which he felt like it wasn't motivated. Listen, getting rid of Matheny probably needs to happen from a baseball standpoint, but the Cards are a mess and have been for a while.
Jackie?
Yeah, I guess we'll make it unanimous. It does feel like the right move, especially because Matheny tells us in the wake of it that they were talking about his job security all the way back in 2017. You know what happens with this, Michael? When someone decides, you know what, I'm not sure about my manager, it's never going to end well for you, especially if your team isn't winning and running away with it. Look at the Red Sox. They didn't like their manager, and he was winning World Series for them. So this, to me, was inevitable. Might as well do it now and try to salvage the season.
All right. Richard Sherman can't seem to shake that sense of regret over having only one Super Bowl. The new Niner telling Sports Illustrated, quote, I think it'll all come out when they do the 30 for 30. Mistakes and poor judgment on things ruined what could have been a really special deal. You don't have much left right now. He went on to say they've lost their way. It's as simple as that. Sarah, buy or sell Sherman, saying that the Seahawks have lost their way.
Listen, we complain a lot about athletes when they're honest. We complain a lot when they don't give us anything. We complain when they give us cliches. He is someone who knows what's going on with the Seahawks, and so he speaks from a place of knowledge. You might think it's maybe out of turn for him to say something now that he's moved on to another team. I say, just tell us more. I like it. Give us all the goods.
Clinton, give us the goods.
Thank you. If you want to get all on camera and start barking all the time, Richard Sherman, just tell the world that you hate Pete Carroll. We all know that's what you're really getting at, but you won't say it out loud because it's too combustible at this moment. Just be real, fam.
Jackie?
And, it's funny because you talk about the one Super Bowl, and, of course, feeding into the Pete Carroll dislike. Maybe they should have had two. Maybe they shouldn't have thrown it down there at the goal line to make Malcolm Butler a lot of money elsewhere. Who really knows? I do think that Sherman, you got to remember, he's coming off a torn Achilles. I understand why Seattle decided to release him. I understand why they didn't meet his salary demands, but he is right. They had something really special, and they did not capitalize on it.
Definitely feels like they underachieved. Tim?
I agree that they underachieved, but I'm trying to figure out by what degree. They went to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, how many did we think they were going to go to 4 or 5 in a stretch? I don't know if that's realistic with what they had. They should have won, obviously, the second one, and I think he's still bitter about that.
Did y'all not hear me say we were getting in LeBron shorts before the break? Nobody's going to call me out on that?
I heard it.
I did. I said you want to get LeBron shorts.
The King, courtside, his first experience in a Lakers pair of shorts. $500 shorts. The purple Nike Air Zoom Generation PEs are pretty sweet, too. Say what up to Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart. Hug Ty Lue. And he also knows that seated dancing is absolutely the best dancing. Jackie, buy or sell the significance of LeBron being seen at Summer League. You were just there.
I was, and I missed him by a couple of days. I'm selling the seat dancing. I'm going to sell the seat dancing because if you're going to do that, give us a little more like this. Come on, LeBron, give us our money's worth. I'm also selling the $500 shorts because you know what? Laker colors, no offense to LA people, they're a little garish. Get something that's a little more tight-fitting. You got this great bod. Show it off, man. Come on.
The body language is getting me. Plus, Jackie, you did your thing at my wedding. I watched the video yesterday, so you know a thing or two about dancing. Tim?
Right there.
I think it's good. I think it's actually important. It's funny, even beyond the unfortunate story about the billboard, you're seeing all these stories about the Laker fans who still love Kobe and how it's going to take them time to embrace LeBron. At least seeing him out and about with his teammates and in these Laker shorts, no matter what the price, that's got to be a good thing.
Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm selling that this means anything other than LeBron took a trip to Vegas and decided to pop by a Summer League game, which is exactly what he did last year when he wasn't on the Lakers. He went to a Lakers game and a summer game, and he just wanted to see how the guys were playing. Now it's his teammates. Great. Get some good love. Show people that you're ready for the season. Doesn't mean much to me.
Clinton?
As somebody that was this close to buying a pair of those shorts in the Washington Bullets colors, I have no issue with the expense on that, but at least he's doing something with the actual Lakers organization as opposed to pizza parties and all sorts of other things that he's been doing all over LA that have nothing to do with basketball. This
or
is
not
a plus completely for the Lakers.
$500 for Bullet shorts? My goodness.
They're actual basketball shorts. They're the old material. They're great.
All right. Great material out of Tim and Sarah, but we got to let 2 people go.
Really good.
It was. Excellent. Not good enough. Showdown's coming up. Jackie and Clinton, stick around.
Before you hit the road for any vacation this summer, visit GNC. You need to stay healthy, and GNC has the highest quality solutions and supplements in the industry. GNC brand products pass up to 150 quality checks. You can be sure you're getting the best prices with GNC's price match guarantee. GNC doesn't just match prices, they beat them by $1. Or try something new. If it's not right for you, return it for a full refund. You heard it right, a full refund. This summer, live well with GNC. Exclusions apply. See an associate or GNC.com for details.
Gee, I wonder what Sarah thinks about this topic. Should have kept her around. Jabari Parker's new home is home. The Chicago native signed with the Bulls for 2 years and $40 million. Although the second year is a team option. Parker's had 2 ACL tears in his left knee, but the former Buck is still just a young Buck at 23. Clinton, how big a get is this for Chicago?
I think it's a decently big get. If you've known Jabari Parker, he's a thoughtful young man, Simeon high school grad. I don't see any reason why this would be a problem for anyone in Chicago. But at that price, you never know if it's going to work out. Wish him the best.
Well, here's the thing. The Bulls had trouble luring high-end free agents, Mike. This is a cap hold, so they can decide. They can look at him for a year, see if he's healthy enough. If it isn't next year, you use that money, and you go out when the numbers are going to get big, and not everyone's going to be able to land with one of the bigger teams. It's a great move for Chicago. Low risk, high reward.
Exactly. I like what the Bulls are doing there, assembling an interesting young core. All right, yesterday's MLB Futures game. Taylor Trammell hits a home run in his first at-bat, then uncorks another in his second at-bat. Let the dugout know, hey, that's number 2 right there, fellas. Except off the center field fence, and his teammates give him the requisite grief for his premature celebration. Trammell said afterward, that's probably the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me. My mom is going to kill me. He still took home MVP. So, Jackie, you're the only mother here. How will he remember this day? How will his mom remember this day?
I'll tell you what, you know exactly what's going to happen every Thanksgiving, every Easter, every Christmas. This will come up the rest of his life. He might end up being the MVP of Major League Baseball, but they're going to say, yeah, but remember that time you didn't run out that double off the wall? He will live with this forever. Forget about anything else.
I was at this game, and it was a very funny moment in the ballpark because once that thing hit the wall, 4 guys ran out to right field to try to throw him out because they did not want to see themselves get shown up by him. But he turned on the Jets and got there anyway. The Reds have a serious ball player in Trammell.
All right, props for being at the game, Clinton Yates. And look, this FaceTime will make up for you not getting your $500 shorts.
I just want to show a little love to Kylian Mbappe and the rest of the French national team. Listen, they won the World Cup, but on top of the fact that he's going to be probably one of the most famous footballers on earth in the coming cycle, he's also doing a lot of good. He's giving away all of his money from charity to a charity, that teaches sports to disabled children and kids in hospitals. Listen, for all of the things you want to say about what sports stars do and they don't do, for a kid like that, at that age, to understand how important it is to give back to people who don't have it as well as they do is incredible. Incroyable, mon ami. Merci bien pour tout.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Very impressive.
Nice. Hey, Jackie, before we go, more seated dancing, please. Show LeBron how it's done.
Au revoir, madame, monsieur, mademoiselle.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm as happy as a clam.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will be, quote, as happy as a clam, unquote. The Geico legal team cannot accurately verify clams even experience the complex human emotional state known as happiness. As an invertebrate mollusk living half submerged on the ocean floor, with no arms, legs, or wireless access, what's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today. Pronounced regionally as chowder. Chowder. Oh, that's so fun to say. What were we talking about again?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.